Welcome to T.R.E.E., Trauma-Informed Parenting with Dr. Hasshan. The T.R.E.E. podcast presents resources, skills, and healthy parenting approaches rooted in self-care, self-compassion, and self-love, because we recognize that healthy roots produce healthy fruits. Today we're going to talk about equity. Equity recognizes that when people come together in groups, power is unequally distributed. Some individuals have advantages while others have disadvantages. Equity versus equality. So for the basis of comparison, equity is the virtue of being just, even-handed, and impartial, whereas equality is described as a state where everyone is at the same level. Equity is a means, where equality is an end. In equity, the distribution is fair. In equality, it's even. Equity recognizes differences and attempts to counteract unequal individual opportunities, whereas equality is about sameness and treats everyone equal. Equity ensures that people have what they need, whereas equality is about providing for everyone the same things. So remember, when you're thinking about equity, it's about ensuring that everyone has what they need to be successful. Your child's needs may be different than other children in their classroom, whereas equity will provide the same for every child in the class. What do we mean by diversity, equity, and inclusion? Diversity is the representation of our varied identities and differences collectively and as individuals. We seek to proactively engage, understand, and draw on the variety of perspectives. We believe that the solution to the problems we hope to address through our efforts can be found by affirming our similarities, as well as by finding value in our differences. Equity seeks to ensure fair treatment, equality of opportunity, and parity in access to information and resources for all. We believe this is only possible in an environment built on respect and dignity. Inclusion builds a culture of belonging by actively inviting the contributions and participation of all people. We believe every person's voice adds value, and we strive to create balance in the face of power differences. We believe that no one person can or should be called upon to represent an entire community. We want to define a few terms that we really want you to think about throughout your parenting journey that can help you grow as a parent and as an individual, and you can teach to your child to help them to be successful within the environments in which they step. Stereotype is an exaggerated belief, image, or distorted truth of a person or group. A generalization that allows for little or no individual differences or social variation. Stereotypes are based on images in mass media or reputation passed on by parents, peers, and other members of society. Stereotypes can be positive or negative. So take some time to reflect on what are some of the stereotypes that you carry, that you've learned, that you've been passing on to your children. What are some of the stereotypes that people in society have about you and your peer group? Another definition, prejudice. Prejudice is an opinion, prejudgment, or an attitude about a group or its individual members. A prejudice can be positive, but in our usage, we refer to this negative attitude. Prejudices are often accompanied by ignorance, fear, or hatred. Prejudices are formed by a complex psychological process that begins with attachment to a close circle of acquaintances or an in-group, such as family. Prejudices are often aimed at that outer group. Take a moment and really think about that. What are some prejudices that we hold, that we may be inadvertently teaching to our children? What are some of the prejudices that they're going to experience out in the world that people hold towards them, your family, and their cultural group and ethnic group? Discrimination is a behavior that treats people unequally because of their group membership. Discriminatory behavior ranges from small slights, right, to hate crimes, and it often begins with negative stereotypes and prejudices. Implicit bias also known as implicit social cognition. Implicit bias refers to the attitudes or stereotypes that affect our understanding, actions, and decisions in an unconscious way. How do biases affect our ability to be treated or to treat others equitably? It affects how we perceive other people, listening skills, how much we actively listen to what a certain person is saying, our behavior, how friendly we are to other people, our attitude, how we react towards other people, which aspects of a person we choose to pay attention to. So it's critical that we think about unconscious bias, how it impacts the way we treat people or how people treat us. Now that you have an idea for what equity means and how it might appear in our lives, think about a time when you witnessed inequity. This is a great question, a great conversation starter to have with your family and with your children. Ask them, when was the time that they witnessed inequity? What do you think? How did the situation make you feel? How could you have impacted the outcome? What could you have done differently? And thinking back, right, what would you do different? Equity cannot be achieved through treating all people equally. Rather, it's achieved through treating all people in an equitable manner, based on their circumstances, to each according to their need. Take a look at the slides on the screen. One is of equality, one is of equity, and one is of liberation. We really have to focus on understanding the structural barriers that exist and removing them. Equality provides a box, an equal-sized box to every child to see the football game. But you'll notice the fence is too high for the shorter child. Equity is giving that child two boxes so that they can too see the game, to each according to their need. And then ultimately, we want to get to the root causes of the issues in our community and remove the barriers. How do we talk to our children about equity? Acknowledge the situation. Consider prompt questions such as, did you ever have a situation where something was done to you or someone that you felt wronged you? How do you feel about it? Allow your child to share their experiences with you. This helps them verbalize and understand the situation. Celebrate differences. Find creative ways to honor cultural, racial, and linguistic differences through examples, and include these in participating in activities outside of your neighborhood or visiting a museum. We want our children to be exposed to other cultures. We want to have conversations about difference. We want to teach our children to be bridge builders across difference, while at the same time loving who they are, loving where they come from, and the shoulders of the ancestors and the elders that they stand on. And finally, be a positive role model. Children take their cues from parents, so talking to your kids calmly helps them to process information and learn. It's appropriate to have emotional responses, but do your best to focus the conversation on the facts and the ideas rather than on emotions. Children learn by example. They watch and they pick up on almost everything. Our children are sponges. In addition to speaking with our children about difference and fairness, it's important to model it in our own lives. Validate your child's feelings. Do your best to acknowledge whatever fears, anger, or negative feelings that come up within the conversation. Above all, it's important that your child knows that they're listened to, supported, and loved, especially by you. Encourage two-way conversation. Invite your child to ask questions. If your child asks a question and you're not sure about it, get back to them. Research the subject through reputable sources and let them know that you'll get back to them with an answer. Encourage a child to speak up. Empowering a child to use their voice teaches them empathy and builds self-esteem. When they encounter inequities, biases, or prejudice, we want them to feel comfortable saying something and doing something. Racial justice is not just the absence of discrimination, but also the presence of the values and systems that ensure fairness and justice. So think about the systems that we encounter in our lives, such as the educational system, the healthcare system, the criminal justice system, fair housing practices, and voters' rights and voting. What role can we play to ensure we live in an equitable society? Educate yourself so that you fully understand, and self-reflect on the importance of equity and how it is critically different from equality. Evaluate those systems we talked about that have a direct impact on your family, and take ownership by getting involved in efforts that prompt systems change. Dr. Naheed Dasani says that equality is giving everyone a shoe. Equity is giving everyone a shoe that fits. Take a look at the screen. We have some tips for you that can help with you challenging some assumptions that you may have in your blind spots, and also that helps with your family and helping to really grow equality. Check out the video. Thank you.
Are you seriously considering her as a candidate?
Just don't trust her.
She's a woman.
She's a woman.
This is a man's
Look at him, he's
job.
clearly not educated.
Really? Does she even speak English?
That's not me. I'm not like that. You call it an honest mistake. Science calls it a blind spot. Our unconscious mind is a mysterious and powerful thing. It makes 90% of our decisions without us even knowing it. Our brains are overloaded with 11 million pieces of information every second. Yet we can only process about 40 of them. So we're wired to make cognitive shortcuts, using past experiences to make assumptions. And you know what happens when we assume? Our unconscious mind can put us on autopilot, determining where we sit, who we eat lunch with, who we turn to for advice, and who we choose to offer a helping hand. Living our lives with blind spots can put us in a tunnel. Same point of view, same decisions, same outcomes. We can find ourselves trapped in the land of snap judgments and misconceptions. We've all been on both the giving and receiving end of blind spots. Think about it. Who's talented? Who's able? Who can I trust? Who belongs? We've all been there. Blind spots are part of the human condition. Our choices have consequences for us and the people we interact with. By accepting that blind spots exist, we can stop. Imagine what possibilities exist if we could do it all over again. Different perspectives, inclusive relationships, diverse networks, better outcomes, seeing people for who they really are. People like you, with unlimited potential. We all have blind spots. Once you accept that you have them, you can choose to do something about it. It's time to check your blind spots and focus on what's possible.